Hi, this is Jenny from Potomac Highlands Regional Jail, and today we're going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem. The first question you may have is trying to determine when to use the Pythagorean Theorem. And we use it when we're working with right triangles. Okay? So what you might see in a word problem is the word right triangle. If you see that word in your problem, you know that you're going to use this formula. But more commonly, when you see one angle that shows a square in the triangle, you know that it's a right triangle, and that indicates the 90-degree angle. Okay? Also, you may see that one angle in the triangle shows the measurement of 90 degrees. The other thing you may see is that there are two angles. When added together and subtracted from 180, you would have a third angle that measures 90 degrees. In all of these cases, we know that we may use the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay? So what is the equation for the Pythagorean Theorem? It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And typically this is not a formula that you need to memorize because it is provided on the task reference sheet. So how do you determine which side is your A, your B, and your C? We're going to start with side C, and we call this the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest leg of the right triangle. It is the leg opposite of your right or 90-degree angle. And what you can see is that you can draw an arrow from the square, and it leads to your opposite side, which is your C or your hypotenuse. Okay? Side A and B are the shorter legs of the triangle, and those sides are interchangeable. For example, this could be your A and this could be your B, or that could be your B and your A. It doesn't matter. The key is knowing that C is the longest side opposite the 90-degree angle. Okay? So my buddy Robert here is going to step in, and he's going to do a couple practice problems with us.
And I'm Robert Holt from North Central Regional Jail. Let's try a few of the Pythagorean Theorem problems. And the first one here is, as you can see, we've got 12 and 9. They are the two shorter legs. X is going to be C. As stated previously, your formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A, B, they can interchange. It doesn't matter which one is which. The important one here is C, which is the hypotenuse across from the 90. We plug our numbers in. We have 12 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. 12 squared is 144 plus 9 squared is 81. That's going to be 225. The square root of 225 would be 15. Now, another way that you can probably look and see if that's a possible answer is, if these are 12 and 9, they are the shorter legs. We know that C is the longest leg. It has to be greater than 12, which it is. So our answer is 15. Let's try another problem. And it states that the bottom of a ladder is placed 8 feet from the wall of a house. So we have the wall of the house, and the bottom of the ladder is going to be 8 feet out. We have a ladder that is 15 feet long, and wants to state how far will the ladder reach up the wall. We can have A, B, C again. We set those numbers up. We're going to have a squared plus a squared, got those turned around a little bit backwards, equals 15 squared. This is our 15-foot ladder. If we square those, we got 64 plus a squared equals 225, and a squared, you're going to take the 64 from it, 161. Let's find the square root of 161. We know that 169 is a perfect square, it would be 13. So a squared is a little bit less than that, 12.7. So, if we look at that answer, it's going to go up the wall, 12.7. We know it's got to be less than 15 because 15 is the greatest length of the ladder. So if we come over here, we round it up, 12.7. It'll be 13 feet approximately. We're going to bring in Coach Miggs, and he's going to give you a few tips on the Pythagorean Theorem on the sides. Thank you, Howard.
All right. Guys, from my experience with some students that maybe struggle with understanding when to move the algebra, just a little tip on Pythagorean theorem problems. Let's say I have a 3, 4, and I'm looking for C, and over here, in this case, I have a C, and I have one of the short sides, or I have one of the legs that meet at the 90. I'm sorry, just put the 90s in, we never want to assume. And so what I taught my students as a tip is, if you have the two short sides, you're going to square these and add them, and then take the square root, as you just saw. If you have a long side and a short side, we square them, and then I subtract the smaller one, and take that answer, and then find your square root, which is what you just saw Robert do. So a little tip is, when you have the numbers that are meeting at the 90 touching, I tell them to add, and when they don't meet at the 90, you tell them to subtract, and then take the square root. And for some of those that maybe struggle sometimes knowing when to use their algebra to move it. All right, hopefully that tip works for you and your students.